So I went to see The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2, opening day. Well, the night of opening day. So not opening night at midnight, but like at an 8:45 showing that Friday. With a couple of people from my church. And I thought it was a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you have seen it, go see it again. I want to. And the thing that struck me the most is I feel these movies are a reflection of the book in as much as they're a call to social change. They're like the prophets in the Bible, almost, because the difference between a fortune teller and a prophet is that a fortune teller is like, this is what's going to happen, this is the future, bam. Whereas a prophet is like, hey, yo, this is what's going to happen if you don't repent and change your ways. And I think the movies are trying to be like, hey, if we don't change the way our culture is headed, this could happen, and we don't want that to happen. So don't let it happen. So change your behavior. Which is very much what the prophets are called. And I realized, as I walked out the movie, that I felt called to bring about this change. And I felt compelled in my heart to go fight for those who are oppressed, whether they are oppressed on the same axes that I am or on different ones. And I'm like, cool, that's great. And then I was talking with a couple of people, and we're all talking about, could we win the Hunger Games? And they're like, hey, Azaria, do you think you could win the Hunger Games? And I'm like, yeah, I think I could. And they're like, you have to kill at least one person to win the Hunger Games. And I'm like, yeah, I think I could do it. Which just totally blows my mind in retrospect, because I acknowledge that I have within me the potential to terminate another person's earthly existence. And I guess it's good that I recognize this, but I don't know how I feel about having it. And some of you are going to be having a different viewpoint than I am. Some of you are going to be in the comments like, Azaria, it's fine, you know, self-defense. You could argue that a lot of times in the Hunger Games it's self-defense, totally fine. Or like it's war, and war is fine because it's for the defense of your country or your freedom or whatever. But the older I get, I say as if I'm like 50 or something, the more of a pacifist I become. Because I believe that Jesus is all about preaching this radical gospel message of love and peace and whatever. And I don't know how to reconcile his call for me to love everybody with the idea of violence. So I, for one, don't actually think even self-defense is okay. Because who am I to say that their life is less valuable than mine? I know they chose to make mine less valuable than theirs, but who am I to disagree? Why should I have the right to kill them? I don't. So why is self-defense acceptable? Like, I get the whole self-preservation thing, but logically you are still killing somebody. And, like, I know that when I die, I am going to heaven. And I don't know about the person who is trying to kill me. So I think, honestly and truly, that assuming there is no non-lethal way to defend myself, I would rather let somebody kill me than kill them in self-defense. And I'm an advocate of non-lethal self-defense. Like, if somebody's charging at me with a knife, I can punch them in the face, or if I have a gun, I can shoot them in the leg. And that's fine. But I don't need to shoot them in the face, or I don't need to shoot them in the back 16 times in 3 seconds. Am I referencing a recently reported on tragedy in the news? Am I? Who knows? But the Hunger Games series uses a lot of lethal self-defense, and that sits uncomfortably with me. And I don't know why, because, well, I mean, I do know why, but I don't understand this tension, because I feel like they're good and I feel like they're calling us to action, but I'm not sure I like the action they're calling us to. And here's the thing, I'm not totally convinced I'm right. Like, I would not kill somebody who's attacking me. But if somebody was attacking, like, one of my friends from church, they're gone. They're gone. If I have a non-lethal way to do it that ensures the person I care about is going to be okay, fine. But if there's any chance that they're going to be killed or, like, permanently harmed, you're done. You're gone. And I don't... So then, if you take that on a national level, or on a larger scale, if I am willing to kill for a friend, why am I not willing to accept that deaths may be necessary in the progression of society? And I think it's because I'm wrong in how I value my friends. I think it's because Jesus is the Mockingjay. And here's what I mean by that. Many people won't tell you this, but Jesus is an advocate of non-violent protest. Turning the other cheek was meant to either force a slave's owner to slap them with the back of the hand, which was used to touch unclean things and then made the slave owner unclean for a certain period of time, or to make them slap them with the right hand instead of the left, I think, or is it left instead of right? But whichever hand they would then be forced to use was the one used when dealing with equals. So if they slapped him open-handedly with the other hand, the slave would be seen as an equal and be set free. Which is brilliant. Unlike today, we're obviously like, this is the face. You can obviously go like that, but that's not a thing they did back then. So Jesus puts them in this really incredible position where no matter what the owner of the slave chooses to do, it's not going to be good. And the same thing, he says, if a Roman tells you to carry his pack for a mile, carry it an extra mile. That sounds nice, but it's not. Roman law dictated that you could only force a native person to carry your pack for a mile. And if it was found out that you were forcing them to carry it any farther, you would get in serious trouble. And you couldn't actually attack the person to get your pack back. So you just had to follow them around until they gave it to you. And so you're chasing them down the roads, and if an official sees this, then the logical conclusion is you made them carry the pack, because why on earth would they still be carrying the pack? So Jesus has all of these brilliant little ways of nonviolence in subordination. And he loves those on the margins, and he, instead of killing for them, dies for them. So to go back to this friendship analogy, if a friend from church is going to be killed, I don't kill the person killing them. If at all possible, I get myself killed instead. Because Jesus dies for us. Katniss sacrifices everything except her life. She sacrifices her sanity. She sacrifices the life she knew. She sacrifices the deepest friendship she had with Gale. She sacrifices a whole bunch of people in part 2, which I'm not going to talk about. And she chooses to sacrifice other people's lives. But the one thing she does not sacrifice is her own life. Whereas with Jesus, he sacrifices his own life. Instead, he sacrifices his time and his sanity. But instead of sacrificing other people's lives, he sacrifices his own. And it makes for a less exciting story. The more death, the better in our culture. If he's not shooting arrows at people, it's not that exciting. And you can only play up the mob mentality so much. You can only drag it out for so many movies. But just because it's not exciting and it's not idealized by our culture doesn't mean it's not true. So then if Jesus is the Mockingjay instead of Katniss, then who are the rebels? Christians. And it is our job to fight for those who Panem, or the world, is oppressing. And when we overthrow Panem, when we overthrow the world, our Mockingjay, Jesus, will reign. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he will be the arbiter of what is good and what is true. So this is where the analogy breaks down. All analogies break down eventually due to the fact that they are, in fact, analogies. The ending of the story is different. But what is true is that both Katniss and Jesus end up winning. And what is true is that the worlds after Panem and this world are infinitely better than the ones they came from. And so, if Jesus is our Mockingjay, and if the cross is our Mockingjay pins, if you will, I'm just wearing that as a symbol, which it's not, but whatever, then I am willing to sing the hymns that are our ruse whistles, and go fight the good fight on behalf of myself and all of us who are oppressed. And if death comes of it, I pray that it is my own and not anybody else's. Is this informative? Leave a like. Inflammatory? Leave a comment. Intriguing? Subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter or Tumblr using the hashtag AskAzaria or the direct messaging system to get in our Just Asking Monday, which is tomorrow. So I have no questions so far, so it's going to be a really short video. I hope you have a great day.